Does Bernie Sanders have answers for people looking for Democratic leadership?
Do we have the guts to stand up to Trumpism and oligarchy and authoritarianism? We say yes.
Getting ready for CNN's town hall tonight, we've been listening to what Senator Sanders and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have been telling the more than 100,000 people they say have shown up to their Fighting Oligarchy tour in districts narrowly won by Republicans in the last election.
We're going to fight Trump at every step of the way, and the crowds that I have seen tell me the American people are prepared to stand up and fight.
I don't believe in health care, labor, and human dignity because I'm a Marxist. I believe it because I was a waitress.
For the very, very richest, they have fluff, they have fun flying off into outer space on their very own spaceships. And maybe they should stay there.
With protests growing and anger among Democrats and others rising, join us for a live town hall with Senator Bernie Sanders. He'll take questions from Democrats, independents, and Republicans on CNN tonight, 9 p.m.
Raise your hand if you think that the American healthcare system is working. Raise your hand if you think the American healthcare system is not working. All right, let me rephrase the question. Raise your hand if you think the American healthcare system is working well. And how many people are raising their hands?
None.
Raise your hand if you think the American healthcare system is broken. Raise your hand.
Majority, everyone.
Not a majority, virtually everybody in the room.
And I can see behind that guy.
And that is, all right, question again. How many nations, wealthy nations in the world, do not guarantee health care to all people as a human right? Anybody know the answer? Which country? All right. Now, you're not going to hear much about that on corporate television. You're not going to hear much about that in the United States Congress. We are the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all people. 85 million of us are uninsured or underinsured. 60,000 die each year because we can't get to a doctor on time. That's the bad news. You know what the good news is? The insurance companies are making tens of billions of dollars every year denying you coverage. The drug companies charge us the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. So how does it happen that in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, we're spending twice as much per capita as the people in other countries, and yet we have one of the worst outcomes, healthcare outcomes, of any country on earth? And it gets back to money in politics and the domination of big money, in this case insurance companies, drug companies, over the Republican and Democratic.
Senator, there's been a recent movement to minimize or erase the identities, experiences, and histories of diverse individuals and communities. Given these efforts, what specific legislative measures, reforms, and actions can we as educators advocate for to promote the inclusion of diverse perspectives and histories within academic curriculum?
Look, I happen to believe that if we are going to do what we have to do, we have to understand history. We have to understand how we got to where we are today. I believe that very strongly. And there are some aspects of American history that we should be enormously proud of. There are some aspects, like in every other country on earth, we should not be proud of. But to try to push slavery or racism or homophobia or sexism under the rug and say they never happened is a disservice to the kids of this country.
Some of these moves have been reversed, but President Trump's also now going after the Smithsonian, accusing them of, quote, divisive race-centered ideology. Do you think the administration is trying to whitewash American history?
Of course.
Join me as I dive into the live town hall with Bernie Sanders and see if I can keep up with all the heated questions and answers coming from CNN. Bernie Sanders, the renowned American politician, took the stage in a live town hall hosted by CNN, and the atmosphere was electric. This highly anticipated event was a crucial moment for Sanders to address the public and the media, particularly CNN, about his policies and visions for the future. Sanders tackled several key issues during the town hall, focusing on the media's role in shaping public discourse. He criticized the lack of depth in CNN's coverage of his policies, arguing that the network often prioritizes sensationalism over substance. Sanders also touched on the topic of economic inequality, emphasizing the need for a more progressive tax system and increased funding for social programs. His comments on the healthcare system sparked a lively discussion, with Sanders advocating for a Medicare for all approach. The audience was fully engaged as Sanders addressed the climate crisis, stressing the urgent need for collective action to transition to renewable energy sources. Sanders' arguments about media representation were particularly noteworthy, as he highlighted the importance of diverse perspectives in public discourse. He argued that the media has a responsibility to provide a platform for underrepresented voices and to challenge the status quo. Sanders also emphasized the need for critical thinking and media literacy, encouraging viewers to question the information presented to them. His passion for creating a more just and equitable society was palpable throughout the town hall. The crowd was impressed by Sanders' ability to articulate complex issues in a clear and concise manner.
What would you say to federal employees who are concerned about the careless workforce cuts being effectuated by Elon Musk and Doge?
The idea that Mr. Musk goes around and with a chainsaw, I mean, that is his metaphor, a chainsaw, slashing jobs all over the place, telling people based on nothing that they have poor performance records, throwing them out into the street is outrageous. They have a proposal to lay off 83,000 workers at the Veterans Administration. Got that? So we made a commitment to the men and women who put their lives on the line that we were going to provide them with the best quality health care that we could. And generally speaking, I know in my state, veterans are very proud of the health care they get in White River Junction, Vermont, and that's true in many places in this country. But arbitrarily throwing 83,000 workers in the Veterans Administration, lowering the quality of care for our veterans, delaying the kind of the time in which they're going to get their benefits is a total outrage. I want to add one point to that. I want everybody to think about this. Most people, we have millions of federal employees, most people are not federal employees. And I think many people are saying, wow, that's outrageous. I really feel for these federal employees thrown out on the street. But I want you to think about this. If Musk can do this to federal employees, some of whom are in unions, some of whom work for years, what do you think he's going to be doing when artificial intelligence and robotics comes for your job? They don't give a damn about you. If this is what they could do to federal employees, think about what they could do to people in the private sector. So bottom line there is I am not a Luddite. I think technology has many positive things to say. But we have got to understand that new technology, AI, robotics, has got to work for working people, not just for the billionaires and Mr. Musk. The idea that the President of the United States would threaten and harass attorneys and law firms that defended people he did not like is a major step forward toward authoritarianism. And by the way, some of these big law firms, was it Paul Weiss is one of them? One of the biggest, caved in. We look to these law firms of hundreds of well-paid lawyers to defend the Constitution, to defend the rule of law, and these guys, big law firms, who often, by the way, defended Democrats, they were more interested in getting millions of dollars from their lobbying or whatever the hell they do in Washington, D.C., making huge amounts of money than standing tall and defending the Constitution. They should be ashamed of themselves.
The town hall reached a boiling point when Sanders confronted a CNN host about the network's coverage of his policies. Sanders' commitment to his message was evident as he passionately defended his positions. The audience was fully invested in the exchange, with some attendees applauding Sanders' remarks. The tension in the room was palpable as Sanders challenged the host's questions, refusing to back down from his principles. This moment showcased Sanders' unwavering dedication to his cause. The exchange sparked a heated debate, with both sides presenting their arguments. The key moment of the town hall came when Sanders directly addressed the CNN host, his voice filled with conviction. Sanders' message resonated deeply with the audience, who responded with enthusiasm. The host's attempts to interrupt Sanders only seemed to strengthen his resolve as he continued to articulate his vision for the future. Sanders' passion and conviction were on full display, leaving a lasting impression on the audience. The town hall ultimately became a defining moment in Sanders'
In the wealthiest
campaign.
country in the history of the world, we're spending twice as much per capita as the people in other countries, and yet we have one of the worst outcomes, healthcare outcomes, of any country on earth. And it gets back to money in politics and the domination of big money, in this case insurance companies, drug companies, over the Republican and Democratic.
I want to try to get some more of our audience questions. Joel,
No, I know you do, but I want to talk about...
I know.
No, I want to, sometimes these issues about health care, about income and wealth inequality are not talked about in the corporate media, and it's time that we did talk about them. That's why the question a moment ago, why are people losing faith in the American system? We don't talk about it on CNN. We don't talk about it in Congress. It's because they understand that a handful of billionaires exert enormous influence, and that has got to change. So when I'm running around the country with Alexandria and other people, what we are trying to do is demand that working class people begin to stand up and fight for their rights. There is no reason we should be the only major country not to have health care, not to have paid family and medical leave, et cetera, et cetera. Why we have the highest rate of childhood poverty, almost any major country. 22% of our seniors living on $15,000 a year. Anybody here think that makes sense? All right.
See Bernie, right? Y'all see Bernie, right? What do you expect the Democrats, what do you expect the left to do? The Republicans have the majority. The Republicans have the Senate, the White House, and the House of Representatives. He's going to Midwestern Republican-heavy states. To crowds of hundreds. Don't tell me what is there to be done. He's telling you. You kick him and scream and scream in his face and call him a crazy old man. The left doesn't need someone like Bernie. This is all leftist fault. That motherfucker is doing more than your favorite establishment Democratic politician has done in the last 3 fucking months, except ask you for fucking money. Don't come in here and talk to me about what is there to be done. He's telling you right now, follow his lead like you should have fucking done in 2016 and 2020. God damn. We will win. We will win. Bernie's like, I'm going to go to Nebraska to a crowd of thousands, and they're going to cheer for me as I tell them, hey, this is what's happening. I'm going to hold rallies. Fucking.
Hey, everybody. Is everybody sitting here watching Bernie Sanders right now on CNN? Like, I don't know about you, but that's the guy I want in my corner. Like, Bernie Sanders, AOC, like, they are really doing the thing with, like, making sure that they get around and talk to people and they're listening. You can tell that he's trying to answer the questions, and he can only talk about so much right now without mentioning, some of the things that, the Velveeta Voldemort regime is doing. But, it's really refreshing to hear him talk. So if you haven't watched it, go watch on CNN and then watch tomorrow's with the senators on, there's another town hall going on tomorrow. That's pretty cool. So just want to make sure that everybody saw it, and there you go. Other than that, if you're a teacher on spring break this week, hope you're having a good spring break. And if you're not on spring break, do the countdown so I know how many more weeks after that we have, okay? Talk to you later. Bye.
Finished the CNN town hall with Senator Bernie Sanders. One of the moments that stood out to me was his advice to a young person in the audience about not just talking with other people about your point of view, but also listening to other people, listening to our fellow citizens, to members of your community, to your neighbors. Here's what he said.
So what I would say to young people and all people, go outside your zone of comfort. It's easy to talk to people who agree with you every day, but you're going to have to listen to other people who may disagree with you. Maybe they disagree with you on abortion or gay rights or whatever it may be. Sit down and talk to them. I've been to every state in this country, and what inspires me is the knowledge that our people, by and large, are decent human beings who want the best for their kids. And our job is to bring people together around an agenda that works for all of us, and to bring people together to oppose this horrific drift toward oligarchy and authoritarianism that we are seeing.
All right, look, I give Bernie a solid B+, maybe even an A- on the town hall. They did great. People are sick of the big money politics. They're sick of Donald Trump, and they're really sick of Elon Musk. So I think I give him a B+, A-. But if he wants the A, the solid A, tell us, Bernie, what you would cut.
Look, am I going to sit here and tell anybody in America that the United States government doesn't have a bureaucracy and there isn't waste? Of course there is.
Yes, I agree. Doge is dumb and mean, and they're thoughtless and reckless. But people are tired of paying all these taxes and seeing it not turn out the right way. And until Democrats come forward and say, look, Doge is wrong. We would cut this. We would cut that. We would streamline this. We would streamline that. I don't think people are going to believe us. Bernie himself said that government is inefficient. Great. What would you cut, Bernie?
As you can see from this clip of Bernie Sanders in the 80s, his position has been the same.
I know these are terribly complicated questions and our time is up, but are you a capitalist?
No, I'm not a capitalist.
So you don't believe in the profit motive, free enterprise? If I have a better mousetrap, I make more money.
There's something to be said for free enterprise on a local level and competition. But what we're happening in our society is we don't live in a free enterprise society. You live in a corporate capitalist society where in virtually every single industry you have giant multi-billion-dollar corporations competing, driving the small businessman
But let's
out.
pretend it would work without all that kind of acquisition of power that is unfair and doesn't...
Do I believe that the profit motive is fundamental to human nature? The answer is no. I think the spirit of cooperation, that you and I can work together better rather than having to compete against each other and destroy each other.
Bernard Sanders, mayor.
Every
Burlington,
Democrat
Vermont.
agrees with your approach. James Carville, for example, says Democrats should roll over and play dead, have a strategic political retreat.
And that is why the rich have gotten richer in the last 30 or 40 years. 60% of our people live in paycheck to paycheck. Our healthcare system has fallen apart. Our childcare system is dysfunctional. That's what playing dead is about. I'm afraid the Democrats have played dead for a long time.